morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Hope you're having an absolutely beautiful day. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, September 16th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today. Love to see this card. It has been coming up very frequently over the last few days. We have here our 6 of Swords in its reversal. Looking at situations or circumstances to remove grief, to come into a space of easement. This has been the work of the feminine energy throughout this Venus in retrograde going direct. This was a lot of the understanding that feminine basically came into from the Venus in retrograde coming now into fruition. Because what we truly identified in that Venus in retrograde cycle was feminine came into a better understanding of their own capacity and situations around potentially overgiving to things that do not give back in kind. This has also been related to feminine holding on to a lot of past energy. But what's really happening right now is the feminine energy is not necessarily looking right now to move back into circumstances or situations where they may have identified that there was an imbalance, rather trying to do a lot of this work of uncoupling or unattaching from these circumstances or situations that created this sense of doubt, fear, anxiety, grief in them. Because feminine energy is effectively recognizing that this is causing a blocking point in terms of them moving into partnership going forward. For masculine, this is also a movement of trying to come out of any circumstances or situations of grief. For a lot of the masculine energy right now, particularly if you're in separation, one of the identifying factors that we've been seeing is that you've been trying to move towards feminine right now, coming really strongly out of this Venus in retrograde cycle with offers and opportunities. One of the big challenges right now is the fact that you are finding the feminine energy in this vibration, either in a space or place where they're making you wait, slowing down circumstances right now because of their own healing journey, or simultaneously not in a space or place to let you in if this is old energy, specifically because they still haven't healed from some of the circumstances in the past from which you may have left it. This is requiring a level or degree of easement, coming into a way of trying to relieve a lot of this grief. So masculine and feminine energy, though, that is in partnership, this is a lot of that mutual work that you are doing together. It is not necessarily the fact that there are not some burdens that need to be carried right now. We've been seeing for even the partnered energies right now, there's been a lot of work that needed to be done as it relates to shedding a lot of the hurt that may have been experienced during this week, either in partnership or from some interpersonal matters that someone may have moved ahead on before the other one got full buy-in. This is all through that healing cycle. We love to see this card in this position today. Second card coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today is more positivity coming into play here. Another extremely positive card that we are seeing right now with our 5 of Cups in its reversal. This is a moment right now that is going to feel like a little bit of easement. This has been some rough, heavy energy that we have been seeing throughout this week. But what we really appreciate seeing and identifying here is this is a lot of work right now to specifically tackle the situations and circumstances that have been causing any of this stress or difficulty right now. This is moving into a space or place of optimism. Partnership energy, this is going to be a lot of unburdening today. We've been seeing that there's been a lot of conversation happening right now, particularly in partnership at this moment, identifying the source of hurt, really being able to unpack it so that you can come into some sense of relief. And this is also going to lead to some productive feelings of optimism as you go forward in today. Now, for unpartnered energies, this is potentially trying to find a bright spot around some situations or scenarios that have been making you feel the weight of this burden throughout this week. Feminine energy in separation, this is more of that internal work that we have been identifying that you've been doing right now. Feminine energy that is in separation has recognized that there is effectively a moment that they need to relinquish some of this grief or pain that they've been carrying in order to move into new possible productive scenarios going forward, both moving back into situations that allow this level or degree of easement, or into future opportunities that are currently coming towards you right now. This is more of that feminine internal journey to be able to come into that sense of grief release. While for masculine right now, what we're really identifying is this is you trying to find the positive around some circumstances or situations that are feeling very trying and difficult at this time. One of the key factors we identify during that Venus retrograde cycle going direct is masculine understands where the feminine is at this time. Masculine is also helping the feminine try to come out of this grief space. The problem for the masculine energy right now is this is either going back to situations or circumstances and realizing that the situation has not necessarily changed. It's just kind of been in a holding pattern. Or for masculine energy that's trying to move into new opportunities right now, this is potentially finding a lot of the same grief that you left in past situations or circumstances that still needs to be addressed. This is that moment that we saw for the masculine that feels like you're kind of facing a certain hurdle or difficulty right now in every direction that you potentially go in right now. But this is also allowing for new opportunities, new possibilities to open as you proceed forward from this time. Center card for today's spread today is, we have here the Moon card. This is coming through as a feeling of understanding, of clarity, of insight, truths being opened up. And this is what we love to see today. These are absolutely beautiful cards coming to the surface today because they are allowing for some breakthrough, some understandings to reach a level of clarity. For feminine energy, if you're in separation right now, this is a point of clarity that you are reaching within the self at this moment. This is looking at things with a level of realism and understanding. The feminine energy is effectively pushing themselves into this vibration right now, creating and allowing for this point of understanding to help them breach some of these cycles that they're potentially experiencing right now. Feminine energy's sole focus right now, especially if you are in separation, we are identifying, is coming into a state of feeling stable. Feminine energy is recognizing that they need to relinquish some of this grief, some of this trauma in order to move into a space of opportunity and optimism. And that is making feminine energy look at things from a space of deep, deep clarity. This internal clarity is what is allowing the relief right now for the feminine energy. While for masculine energy right now, what we're really identifying is this is a moment that you are recognizing that there's some level or degree of truth that needs to come forward around some circumstances or situations, potentially around the feminine energy. Masculine, we are also seeing that you've been trying to look for some point or degree of optimism, of clarity, something that is going to allow you some easement in moving forward towards feminine energy right now. The masculine energy that is in separation right now is feeling a lot of this hurdle or this frustration because as we are identifying, you are finding a lot of the feminine energy is in the exact same space that you may have left past energy. This isn't necessarily a situation or circumstance that you can avoid in any capacity, specifically because either you are returning to past situations and circumstances and recognizing that not much has changed in terms of where the feminine is at. They're still carrying the grief that you may have left them in if you are in separation. But the difficulty or hurdle that we're seeing here is for the masculine energy that is moving towards new opportunities or new possibilities with feminine, you may potentially be experiencing and encountering the same grief and the same trauma that is being held. And this is also making you have to come into a state of understanding and clarity, something that you need to either bring clarity to help the feminine energy process what they're going through right now, or going back to situations and circumstances with this same level and degree of honesty that is going to create this sense of easement to allow the feminine energy to feel more open and vulnerable at this time. While for masculine and feminine energy that are in partnership at this moment, this is confronting circumstances and situations that have potentially been causing a lot of grief, causing a lot of doubt, causing a lot of anxiety, causing a lot of fear. Sharing this level of clarity and openness so that you can move forward with a sense of easement going forward. Now, fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is we have here our 2 of Pentacles in its reversal. There is something very valuable and important in terms of the alignment of priorities at this time, particularly for the masculine and feminine energy that are in partnership at this moment. One of the challenges that we saw that was arising right now in the energy that is partnered was the fact that even earlier this week, there were some situations or circumstances in terms of divisions that occurred in partnership, specifically related to the fact that masculine and feminine felt like they were moving with different priorities. Feminine even potentially had to articulate this to masculine to some level or degree, especially in the fact that masculine energy effectively moved forward or potentially wanted to proceed in a way and direction that the feminine energy did not necessarily agree or feel in alignment to. This is some of that feeling of compromise today, allowing that compromise to allow for better integration going forward, particularly for the masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this time. And this is also allowing a level or degree of deeper understanding to come into play, being very open and honest in terms of what your priorities are at this moment to allow for some of this level and degree of easement and compromise going forward. For energies that are in partnership right now, this is going to feel like a bit of a relief and a release because it's helping you shed some of your own grief, anxiety, and fear about what the potential future looks like. This is collectively done right now in partnership. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is going to feel a bit different, particularly because masculine and feminine energy have effectively been moving in very different separate points right now in terms of this experience. For feminine energy, this has been that internal journey that feminine has been effectively forcing themselves into, helping them allow a degree of removing this grief and fear so that they can move into alignment with the masculine energy. Feminine even identified to a certain extent that they have to do this internal work right now if any possibility of partnership is going to be available to them, because feminine is recognizing that this same grief and difficulty that they're holding is effectively blocking their own ability to come into better union right now, either towards past circumstances and situations that are approaching them at this time or towards future ones. Feminine energy has been doing a lot of this by coming to some deeper understanding of the self at this time. And this is allowing that point of feeling like they can focus on a single desire going forward, because feminine energy has potentially been holding on to past trauma while trying to move forward right now, and she's recognizing that those 2 points are feeling very oppositional to themselves. Masculine, for your point, you are also potentially been seeing the feminine energy going through this at this time. It has been feeling like a difficulty or burden right now because you are recognizing that the feminine energy has effectively not been necessarily being as open to accepting what you are putting forth to them right now, because you're effectively finding all of the feminine energy going into the same state or place of healing. Masculine energy, you have been working very hard to try to bring the feminine energy into a feeling of easement, either towards past situations or circumstances or towards the ones that you're trying to move into at this time. And one of the things that you're identifying in both of these is that you have to bring a level and degree of honesty to some circumstances or situations. Now, what is effectively happening right now for the masculine energy, which could feel like a bit of a revelation, is the fact that either moving into future partnerships right now, you are getting perspectives on situations and circumstances from the past that you yourself may feel very familiar with, that are creating this new sense of understanding for you in terms of what may have been experienced by the feminine energy. And that is what is allowing you this state of easement, because you are now understanding what you yourself need to correct to be able not to mitigate or perpetuate some of that trauma going forward. While for the masculine energy that is now going towards past situations, you potentially are feeling like you are being forced to bring some level or degree of honesty to some situations and circumstances that you may feel that you are not being as open on and honest about. This potentially may have been some of the reason for this fracture point. For both masculine energy right now in either scenario, we are seeing that this is allowing for this point of alignment to come into play. You're not necessarily going to feel like you're moving in two different oppositional states right now, because this is really allowing a deeper integration right now of the masculine energy between your emotional and your passionate center. And you're recognizing through this point of integration, what you're really doing is integrating your own feminine energy. Now, fifth card for our 5-card spread before we start getting clarification on these cards for today is transformation. And we love to see this right now. Okay, we love, these are beautiful. I gotta stress, this is heavy. This is heavy work. This is like AP style emotional work that we're seeing right now for both of these energies. But it is leading to some beautiful transformations. Because what we're really identifying right now for both masculine and feminine energy is that this is that feeling right now of allowing for some of these shifts to occur. For the masculine and feminine energy that's in partnership at this moment, you may even be experiencing this together right now. This is something that is allowing a certain level of degree of change to occur in the relationship that is feeling very profound, but it's also feeling very insightful. Masculine and feminine energy are using this moment of sharing collective grief, of allowing this to help move into a state or space of positivity, not to be a separating factor, but actually to be one that's building a deeper clarity in terms of union energy. It's that clarity that's coming through right now in terms of having to go through some of these experiences that are difficult, but you are bearing that equal burden that is allowing for this deeper level of a degree of transformation that is actually unifying the partnership at this time. While for masculine and feminine energy, that is not in partnership, this is going to feel a lot different. But there's still a lot of profound transformation that is happening at this time. It's just happening on the interpersonal level. We see that because feminine energy is finally successfully releasing some of this trauma, this doubt, this fear, this grief that they've been holding on to, that has not been allowing them to move fully and integrate fully into new partnership. Even if this is old energy coming back right now or new energy that they're trying to move into right now. Feminine energy has found the solution to this is letting themselves come into a point of acceptance on the hard truths that needed to come to the surface. Feminine is either getting this right now. They're getting the truth from an external masculine source that is finally bringing them the clarity that may have led to a point of separation. Or they are getting it right now internally, and that is what is allowing them to further integrate and change this energy, to alchemize it into something that is allowing them to have a better sense of productivity at this moment. Masculine energy, you are also going through this exact same process right now. You are mirroring the feminine's process, but in a different way. Masculine, you are trying to find a point of optimism right now for the feminine that is going to allow them to let you into some capacity. But you are experiencing the fact that if you are not in partnership at this moment, there's this blockage here. It is bringing a point of revelation to you right now because you are either moving right now back into past partnership where you're still recognizing that this grief exists, and you are bringing with you the clarity that is needed to finally come into a state of easement, the conversation that may have been left in a point of stasis that you're now ready to finally proceed upon from a state of deeper honesty. Or for the other part of the masculine collective right now, you are effectively trying to move into new union with new feminine energy, but you are experiencing that the blockages that you are seeing right now are the same blockages that you left, that you're now needing to deal with the trauma of the same circumstances and situations that may have been adding to your own insight and clarity of the feminine's perspective. That is also allowing you to bring a degree of easement. It's almost like your clarity right now, your own clarity on what occurred is happening right now by having to explain to the feminine energy that you're trying to move into partnership with the full breadth of what they experienced, which is also bringing a sense of revelation and understanding to you as well. This is also leading you to a deeper sense of integration of the self right now, and it is feeling very transformative. Now, let's see if we can get some clarity on these cards right now. Clarification between Six of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Five of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership and union. This is very healing right now. There's a lot of feelings in terms of coming into a state of easement, sharing this grief, relieving oneself of one's burdens, allowing this to be a point of optimism as you go forward from this time. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is trying to do a lot of this work for yourself at this moment. Feminine energy is effectively kind of forcing themselves at this time to release this grief. Feminine energy can't carry this weight anymore. If this is situations and circumstances from the past, feminine energy is focusing all of their care and attention on how to release this grief. And it is working. We are effectively seeing that this is productively working right now. Feminine element energy almost feels that by shedding it, by releasing it in some way, shape, or form right now, and whatever aptitude that is possible, whatever works right now for the feminine to do this right now, it's going to work. Feminine energy may even be speaking a lot about this right now in some way, shape, or form, because it's almost helping that to be in a state or space of them getting a deeper understanding around these circumstances and situations. For masculine, you are also potentially seeing this right now. There's a point and degree of understanding that is coming to you. We've been seeing a lot of this light bulb moment for the masculine over the last few days as it relates to the situations that they're finding right now around the feminine energy. It's almost like this dawning realization right now in what you yourself might need to change at this moment to allow for better partnership. The thing with the masculine energy that's experiencing this right now, it's almost leading to like an emotional and spiritual and personal upgrade at this moment, because it's like, oh my goodness, you're seeing, or potentially again, you're going back to something and having to bring clarity, recognizing that this is not something that just dissipated or disappeared in the interim. It's something that you're finally willing to give forth on and look at with a level of degree of both honesty and regret, but also clarity. Or for the other masculine part of the masculine energy right now, this is that moment that experiencing this or seeing this happening on the outside right now, recognizing that you're basically encountering that same grief or trauma right now from energy that you are now approaching from new perspectives, is making you effectively understand that this isn't something that you can run from or move away from right now. This is something that's effectively just having to be faced and experienced so that you can understand it. Clarification between these two cards right now is, doesn't one come out? There it is. Clarification coming through right now with the 10 of Wands. This is showing that level of degree of being ready to put in the committed effort. It is the closing of the cycle, but it is the closing of the cycle by investing your time, energy into new options, new obligations, new paths going forward. This is feminine energy if you're not in partnership right now. Doing that work for oneself, recognizing that this work is not something that happens overnight. It happens by degrees, but feminine energy is committing themselves to the path of shedding this grief and difficulty from the past. This is that hard work that feminine energy is working to commit on at this moment. If in separation from masculine, this is either coming through right now in terms of allowing past energy in, getting the clarity that you need that is helping you build this point of catharsis in terms of what has happened in the past, recognizing that it is going to be a slow journey out of this, but you're putting your efforts towards that journey. For the energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is a moment that you're allowing yourself to release this grief so that you can move forward into new partnership opportunities. There is something here that feels like it is also a closing of cycle. It's not an easy closure point. Feminine is also recognizing that this is something that is going to continue to happen by degrees, but feminine energy is recommitting themselves to this path as they proceed forward from this point. Masculine, you are also, if you're not in partnership right now, simultaneously committing yourself to this path, shedding the grief of the past. Again, potentially recognizing some circumstances or situations that you feel cannot come into a state of easement, but you are letting this build this path going forward because you're almost recognizing that whatever you couldn't necessarily bring the truth to in the past situations and circumstances, you are now ready to bring the truth to in the future ones. For masculine energy, I need to point out there's a point of openness that is coming through right now. There's a point of understanding. There's a point of clarity that you may have to bring situations right now. The difficulty or hurdle for the masculine energy is whether you're going to feel the confidence in doing that to the past situations and circumstances that you now understand better. Or if feeling like that is too great a burden to bear, you are now taking that insight that you may even have from the past experiences that you were in and now bringing them forth to feminine to help them understand the point of clarity, which is also that commitment of energy right now. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is the shared weight and burden that you are both effectively carrying right now around some situations and circumstances that there's a lot of grief and difficulty. You are doing everything you can to support each other at this moment, and this is allowing for that commitment to the long-term path and goal as you go forward from this point. Again, not easy energy, but cathartic energy heavily coming through right now in these cards. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. 9 of Cups in its reversal, along with the Moon card in its reversal. This is difficult. This is some of that bittersweet energy that's been coming throughout this week right now. There are hard truths that are coming to the surface right now. Things that you're building a deeper sense of clarity and understanding on. For both masculine and feminine energy, this can almost feel like a bit of a revelation, an aha moment. For feminine, this is going to feel more like a sense of looking at trauma for what it is. Feminine energy is coming into a point of deep acceptance right now on the truth and the reality of certain circumstances or situations. This is so difficult for the feminine energy because it's forcing them to face the grief, something that we've seen the feminine's been doing throughout this week. But in facing the grief, they can also make the choice to turn away from it, hence allowing this to be a part of the healing journey. For masculine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is potentially feeling like you can bring some level or degree of insight, clarity, understanding to some circumstances and situations right now that are going to allow for a state of easement to occur. Masculine energy, you are either identifying this right now from past situations or circumstances that you're trying to move back into from a point of separation right now, or masculine energy, you are recognizing that you can do that now in the future situations and circumstances that you're going into. This is some of that aha moment in recognizing the changes that you need to potentially make in your own degree that may have caused you to be at this point, but you're able to channel this into something that is productive right now. The difficulty or hurdle right now is whether this is going to be that energy of you going back to situations and bringing this level of degree of clarity in, or if you're taking this level or degree of clarity with you into new opportunities, if you recognize that you feel that there's already too much lost in the space of place of you not being at this level or degree of openness and honesty. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Hierophant. We love seeing this right now because what this is really speaking towards is a deeper level of commitment going forward. This is beautiful energy because this is really kind of moving into deeper commitments at this time for both masculine and feminine energy. For feminine energy right now, this is almost allowing the feminine energy to commit to the circumstances or situations that are helping them come into this state and space of clarity and understanding for the self right now. Feminine energy is committing themselves to this journey of deeper healing. For the masculine and the feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is the reaffirming of the commitment between you both right now through the objection, through the points of this clarity and the support that you're receiving. As we said, masculine and feminine energy are going through some very difficult circumstances and situations right now. Even if you are in union, there's been a lot of healing that was required up until this point. And what we're really identifying right now is for the partnered energies, for the higher union energies, this is fortifying the union itself. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is really helping you fortify where you're putting your commitment going forward at this time. Feminine energy is committing themselves to their own path of deeper understanding and optimism at this time. This is where the feminine energy is doing this because feminine recognizes that in order to come into partnership with masculine, they effectively need to be able to do this work. Feminine's recognizing there's no state or place where they can continue to hold on to this grief and still honor their commitment to certain partnerships, either past partnerships they're trying to come back into union with at this time, or future partnerships that are effectively approaching them right now. For masculine energy, you are also working through a moment right now where you are affirming your own commitments. We've been seeing right now for the masculine energy, there's been a lot of energy about trying to put forth towards feminine at this time. There's been anxiety in terms of doing so. Masculine, you're effectively understanding right now because of the fact that feminine wasn't necessarily being in a space of being open and honest to what you were bringing forth to them. That this was a moment that you are trying to understand that in order to move into commitment going forward, you're going to have to approach things from a state or space of much deeper clarity and honesty. And that is what is also going to give you a sense of optimism today, because this is the path ahead that you are recognizing that is opening to you, not just in old partnerships, but in new ones. You're getting the clarity that you need, and you're able to provide that clarity from some of the past circumstances or situations that look like they are carrying similar trauma. Again, either going back and recognizing that you're ready to be in this space of openness, or coming into new partnerships and recognizing that this was what was needed in the past ones. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between this beautiful energy of the Moon card in combination with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. So, a lot of clarity coming to the surface right now, a lot of deeper understanding. And this deeper sense of understanding is what is effectively allowing a point of alignment going forward. For partnered energies right now, this is healing some of that separation that we saw was effectively happening over the last few days, as it felt like there was a point that even in partnership at this moment, masculine and feminine potentially felt like they were moving forward from a sense of different priorities. This is allowing that level of honesty that's bringing in a deeper level of integration at this time. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is that dividing line that's helping you identify and understand if there is the possibility of partnership going forward. For feminine energy, this shedding of the grief right now, this coming into deeper level of understanding is really helping you focus on your choices at this time. Feminine energy is going through some state or space of overwhelm because they were basically trying to hold on to the hurdles and the pain from the past while also facing the new opportunities that are around them at this time. Or for some of the feminine energy, this is having to balance the need and desire to have someone come back into your life right now versus the pain that you are effectively carrying around those circumstances or experiences. Feminine energy is allowing the truth around circumstances or situations to unify this. While for the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is effectively feeling that push and pull of being holding the grief from the past while trying to move into better alignment in the future. Feminine also recognizes that they need to unify these energies. They need to come into a space of choosing one over the other. And that's coming again from a state of clarity. Masculine, this level and degree of clarity right now is the choice. There's some situation right now for masculine energy, if you are not in partnership, that you are recognizing you can only move into if you bring a level of degree of honesty to it. This is either the past situations that you're being called to bring this level of degree of honesty to right now, or the new situations that are still carrying the trauma from the past situations into them. And you're recognizing that you have the key to effectively unlock the trauma. You know how to fix this. You know how to be open in this way because you're seeing what you must do. You see that it's coming from the state of still being open in this capacity. So for masculine, it's really trying to decide between one or the other. Where are you putting that level of degree of honesty that is going to allow you for that point of productivity going forward? May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Seven of Pentacles in its reversal. There's a feeling in terms right now of just wanting to move faster with this. There's something here, again, when we get this kind of moon energy, I need to point, this can feel like a lot of like revelation, like dawning, like something like bonk, like hits you on the head, makes you realize something. There's almost a level or degree of urgency that's effectively coming into play today. There's a feeling right now of really coming into a space or place of understanding and wanting to move very quickly in this degree. For the masculine energy, this could be feeling right now that there's something here that you just really want to give forth towards the feminine with at this time. There's some kind of feeling that you may have been sitting on this for a while, and now you're finally ready to come forward in this way, in a way to kind of let the feminine energy know, like, look, I'm ready to be at this point of true openness with you. This is beautiful energy if you're not in partnership at this moment. Particularly if you're in the masculine energy, because this is going to feel like you're really kind of reaffirming your own commitment at this time in terms of moving in this directionality. While for feminine energy right now, this is going to feel a little bit different. And this is potentially why the masculine energy is also moving with a state or place of urgency, because masculine energy is also recognizing that feminine energy is coming out of the cycle. They're ready to let things go. They're ready to move on. Feminine energy is building a lot of this clarity for themselves at this moment, having effectively given up right now on waiting for this level or degree of clarity to come through via external sources. Feminine energy is either receiving this clarity right now from masculine energy that's being able to operate in this level of transparency and openness, and that is almost bringing them into a space where they're ready to solidify or move forward in a singular direction, either releasing the fear of the grief from the past or integrating it in the current experience that is allowing them a space of productivity. That's why masculine energy is effectively moving so quickly, because they're now effectively understanding that this is happening. For masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this moment, this is a feeling that just really reaffirms your commitment in the partnership at this time. It's also potentially creating a state or space of urgency. You're recognizing here there's something that feels like it is already in alignment. And it's almost building your own degree of commitment, because it's helping you recognize and identify that there's really like nothing else that you're effectively looking for in partnership at this moment. You kind of have everything that you need. And it's this point of understanding that is really helping you focus on a specific goal going forward. This is almost creating the state or space right now of this like collective burden that you're carrying, is really like building this state or space where like you're feeling the strength and the satisfaction in the partnership, because you're recognizing that it's providing to you on all of the points that you effectively need. Now, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Death card. This is going to feel like some heavy energy. This is going to feel like a lot of transformation that's effectively coming into play right now. Specifically because what we're really identifying at this moment is the fact that for all energies at play, there is this feeling right now of focusing on that way of integrating that is allowing for some deep levels of transformation at this time. Even in the partnered energies, there could be a feeling of some deep kind of transformation occurring in the partnership at this moment. And it is specifically coming right now in terms of this unification as it relates to your priorities at this time. Some of this feeling of overwhelm that we saw over the last few days was almost like this moment that led the masculine and feminine energy to come into a deeper understanding of each other. But this is what's also allowing for some of this shift to occur in partnership, that is identifying the difference between having separate goals that you're moving towards right now versus a singular path and purpose. While for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is effectively feeling more like a choice that you are being driven towards right now. For masculine energy, this is that point of bringing some level or degree of honesty to circumstances and situations that may have proved a difficulty or hurdle or challenge to you prior to this moment. Masculine, you're effectively recognizing right now that there's something very tightly connected to your own ability and degree to bring this level of clarity and honesty to partnerships right now, that is effectively requiring you to do so, either again in terms of the past situations and circumstances that you're working to move into at this time, or the future ones. It's like you can't effectively move away from this. They're all effectively asking you for that same level of clarity. This is what's allowing for some of this transformation in the masculine energy. It's helping you really prioritize and focus on your goal going forward. While for feminine energy, this is that moment, if you're outside of partnership, that you are integrating or you are releasing the trauma from the past, the circumstances and situations that have been blocking you from going into deeper partnership at this time, or moving into this from a state or space of integration, finding a way to integrate this trauma. It's either release or integration at this point, either allowing past energy to come back in, hence allowing you to integrate it because you're getting the clarity that you need going forward, or you're finding a space or place to release it right now because new opportunities are coming right now that are providing this level or degree of clarity to you, hence also creating this state or space of transformation. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Page of Wands in its reversal. More than anything, one of the things that's coming through right now is really feeling that level or degree and value of communication at this time. For masculine and feminine energy that is working through this at this moment, one of the things that may be a big discussion point, potentially around the situations and circumstances of partnership at this time, is some kind of sensation or feeling in terms of the masculine energy, having not necessarily been fully open or honest around some circumstances or situations. Masculine and feminine energy at this moment in partnership potentially are talking about why some situations and circumstances came to the space that they came to, potentially from the masculine not necessarily being as forthright in terms of their own needs and their own desires at this time. For the masculine and feminine energy that is working through this vibration right now, this is that unification of purpose. This is also kind of pointing out right now what needs to be amended to allow for some of this transformation as you proceed forward from this time. This could also deal with the masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this moment, potentially feeling like you receive some kind of wrong information or understanding or experiencing something that feels like having to clarify, that you feel like you either misunderstood something or something was miscommunicated to you that may have led to some of these hurdles or stumbling blocks as it relates to some of the issues in partnership that we saw that were coming through over the last few days. Now, for the masculine and the feminine energy, not in partnership at this moment, this is going to feel like a bit of difficulty because we are seeing that this is the moment that is requiring there to be a feeling about what you're willing to open up to and what you're willing to communicate on at this time, particularly for the masculine energy. A lot of this transformation that we're seeing right now for the masculine energy that is not in partnership is requiring a level and degree of openness and honesty that is simply extremely difficult for the masculine energy to move into. Masculine energy, you're almost feeling you're being enforced to a certain degree because you're recognizing some situations or circumstances where the only grief or easement is to come forward with this level and degree of honesty. But the honesty is requiring you to be honest with the self first. Masculine is feeling some fear of being forthright in this capacity and this degree. For the masculine energy that's going through this right now, it's not necessarily, I got to stress, it's not even necessarily something that you feel like you may be doing by choice at this time. You may be feeling to a certain degree that you feel like time is running out around circumstances or situations, and you may even feel like you have no choice to a certain degree, but to be able to be forthright and open at this time. The problem is it's creating such a difficulty for you to be able to do this because it is requiring you to be able to relinquish any of the anxiety in terms of expressing from a state of your true desires and intentions at this moment. Masculine energy, this is why we see that back and forth right now around past situations and circumstances or future ones. Because what the masculine is effectively seeing right now is the understanding that the problem is not something that can be escaped at this moment. For the masculine energy that moved away from some circumstances or situations because they did not want to reach this level and degree of openness, they're effectively finding that the trauma point or trigger is now in the new opportunities and experiences. That the feminine energy that they're effectively encountering right now is still requiring the same level of openness that the last energy was potentially demanding at this time. And this is that moment where the masculine energy is effectively recognizing that they need to transform this within the self, or partnership is not going to be possible in any capacity. Well, for feminine energy that is moving through this right now, this is a sense of that internal point. Feminine energy is releasing a lot of this grief from the past. They're either allowing this to be an integration point. Masculine energy that's giving them this gift of honesty at this time, that is now allowing them to heal something that they may have been carrying for a very long time through this cycle. Or feminine energy has given up on carrying it. Feminine energy is now looking at some of that pain and trauma that they did not get the full clarity on as the issue. And they're working right now to release it for themselves at this moment, because they realize that if they don't transform it, they're not allowing a degree of new opportunities to come forward to them at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ten of Wands in combination with our Hierophant. So what we have here is, this is feeling like hard work. This is heavy lifting today. It's cathartic, but it's heavy lifting, because what we're really seeing is there is a renewed commitment to the path that you are on right now. This is moving into something that is not easy. This is committing yourself on a path that may feel like it is very difficult. Feminine energy is committing themselves so that if you're not in partnership, this path of releasing the trauma is the heavy burden. It's not something that can happen overnight, but you're committing yourself to that path. Masculine, you're going through this right now. You are also potentially committing to a path of transformation within the self that may come from you being honest. Again, either towards past experiences that you're ready to bring this level of honesty towards, or towards new ones. Either way, it's going to require a lot of heavy lifting from you. While for masculine and feminine in partnership right now, something about the crisis point that you experienced last week or this week has effectively reaffirmed your own commitment to each other. And we see this coming into a bit of a return to course right now, a reaffirmation of that commitment as you go forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Thank goodness this is in its upright. Thank goodness. Thank goodness this card was in its upright. With our Wheel of Fortune in its upright. We saw this card yesterday. This is what is allowing for things to proceed. This is why we feel this urgency, because there's something here. Guys, I got to stress, we've had 6 planets in retrograde. If it's been feeling like everything has been in a bit of a standstill, especially over the last few weeks, this is why. Feminine energy and masculine, this is both a mutual moment right now of recognizing that there is this reaffirmation or to the path right now that is effectively necessary to allow for something productive to go forward at this time. Masculine and feminine energy in partnership, this is potentially feeling the value and importance of looking at the bigger picture. We've been seeing that for masculine and feminine in partnership at this time, there's been some things that have been a heavy weight to bear, potentially even some feelings of frustration that you're effectively feeling right now around each other in terms of how you want to handle and approach some situations and circumstances. But more than anything, this is now a moment that you are allowing yourself to overcome any of these challenges and hurdles by looking at the bigger picture. It is reaffirming your own commitment to the path of the partnership. For masculine and feminine energy right now, that is not in partnership, this is feeling like more of a challenge. Feminine energy is effectively committing themselves to commitment, to healthy commitment. Feminine energy is committing themselves to healthy commitment, and they're willing to take as long as it takes to reach it. I told you, this is feminine energy. We saw it yesterday in the cards. Feminine energy is totally willing. It's like, if you want to get some nun energy in here, we saw nun energy coming into play yesterday. Feminine energy was coming into a state or space where they were willing to completely abscond, completely put their passionate center on hold, even to the detriment of their own passion, so long as they get to heal this trauma, okay? They're feminine energy is not having it. They're committing to their own path of healing right now, in or out of partnership. This is what's allowing the feminine energy to heal right now. Because what we're really seeing is that feminine energy is basically doing this work for themselves. If the partnership that comes towards them right now is ready to identify the fact that they recognize that the feminine's in this healing, all the better for it. Feminine's energy is willing to wait for energy that is willing to see their own healing journey, to avoid that trauma occurring again. Masculine energy, you are effectively seeing right now, and this is going to feel a little bit different for the masculine energy that's going through this right now. You are feeling potentially right now that commitment is inevitable. And when I say commitment is inevitable, I need to stress, I don't mean that like commitment is inevitable, like we will be together one day. I mean that the fact is that masculine energy has hit a wall with feminine energy right now. That masculine energy is identifying the fact that masculine energy cannot come into partnership with feminine energy right now unless they're able to bring in this level of openness that is so difficult for the masculine energy. It is forcing, this is like a forced upgrade right now for masculines. It may feel like a little bit of a forced upgrade right now if you are feeling this right now, masculines, because what we're really seeing right now is a point where you are feeling like you have no choice but to start to move into this space of being at this level or degree of openness and honesty. It's really hard for you to do because apparently some of this openness and honesty is very hard for you to talk about. But we see here that you're doing that work in trying to translate this. You're doing this work in trying to transform yourself at this moment because you feel like you're effectively in no choice if you want to be in commitment with feminine energy going forward. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now. This is wacky energy. I'm sorry. If I'm laughing, it's because it is hilarious. I'm sorry. I'm laughing with you. Remember, I am also here. I am laughing with all of us. Clarification right now between our Hierophant in combination with our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal. So this is this moment for feminine and masculine energy that is in partnership. This is just reaffirming the commitment right now. Something about the experiences over the last few weeks, something about the perception of it, something about the holding of the space of this grief is really solidifying the partnered energies and saying like, this is what you want going forward. It's just giving that clarity right now. So I said, a lot of catharsis coming through right now, particularly as it relates to the partnered energies. Now, for the masculine and the feminine energy right now, sorry, this is why it's so funny. The masculine and the feminine energy right now, that is not in partnership. Effectively, what is happening at this moment is the fact that feminine energy is completely committed to commitment at this time, even absconding from any type of passion, saying unless it's coming through as a real possible potential commitment with honesty and openness, then feminine energy isn't available to it. Feminine energy is willing to like just stay like in a space of like their own concentration. Like I said, some of this like turning away from the world right now in order to move into this deeper sense of commitment, because feminine energy has effectively reached their level of impatience in experiencing the same issues, the same problems, the same miscommunications. Feminine energy wants to be in a state of openness and honesty right now. And feminine energy is rather willing to commit to themselves at this moment than effectively put their energy into anything that isn't matching that same level or degree of openness at this time. Masculine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is effectively seeing this right now. You're effectively feeling like there is all this possibility or opportunity that is potentially open right now to the feminine, but you're finding it all in the same vibration. You're finding all the feminine energy is no longer in a space where they're open and willing to entertain anything coming from a space solely built on passion. Right? So the feminine energy is effectively rejecting a lot of energy right now unless it comes through a state of openness and clarity. And this is effectively making the masculine energy feel forced to effectively commit to a certain level to this path of openness and partnership at this time. Because what's happening right now is not only is this forcing the masculine energy to be more open at this time, it's also making the masculine energy feel the anxiety of potentially wanting to move into commitment faster, because this is starting to potentially feel like a lot of rejection if you're not really willing to make some of this shift. Continuing to get clarity on these two cards right now is clarification coming through right now with the Knight of Cups. This is a beautiful moment, because what we really see for the masculine energy right now is it is allowing the masculine energy to come from a space. What is the feminine energy seeking from the masculine right now? openness and honesty of their feelings. This is basically the masculine energy effectively. And I hate to see this like in this way because it seems a little silly. It's forcing the masculine energy to be open about their feelings by feeling like they have no effective choice but to be open and honest about their feelings. This is coming through right now. And it's funny for the unpartnered masculine energy. And I'm sorry if I'm laughing because it's a little bit funny because what we're seeing here is the fact that the masculine energy almost is feeling like they are being forced. Their heart is being forced to be open. Their heart is being forced to be into this open and honest expression right now. This isn't something that's coming through easily right now. This is something that they're effectively seeing to a certain extent is almost a requirement right now if they want to come into partnership with the feminine energy. Because what we're seeing here collectively for the feminine energy is tired of being lied to. They're tired of feeling like they're being fed falsehoods. They're tired of feeling like there isn't this clarity or this openness between them and the masculine right now. And what we're effectively recognizing and understanding at this time is this is the feminine energy saying, I will accept you. I will love you in any expression of what that is, so long as you are open to me about your feelings. Feminine energy is effectively asking this right now for masculine. And this is the moment masculine energy is effectively trying to come into a state of recognizing this point where they're now trying to proceed from a space of emotional vulnerability, as opposed to trying to move forward from that point of passion. For feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, this is that moment that we're effectively seeing that the feminine energy is only allowing in masculine energy that is coming from a perspective or a point of honesty and emotional clarity. Because for the feminine energy right now, this is where we're seeing that they are seeing that the true commitment is being able to be seen and expressed. If feminine energy isn't experiencing that, feminine energy is accepting that that may not necessarily be there. Feminine energy is potentially accepting at this point that if the masculine energy can't come forward from a space or place of openness and emotional openness, feminine energy is looking at potentially the hard truth, that potentially is showing that there was a masculine energy that did not necessarily carry that expression for them, but was only moving from a space of their own passion. Feminine energy doesn't want that right now, which is what's allowing the feminine energy to have that hard truth come into focus, that is allowing this to be a point of catharsis and healing. That is why we also see that for the masculine energy that is identifying that this is happening in the feminine, there is potentially some swift movement that's happening, because masculine energy is either, again, at a point in recognizing that the feminine energy that they moved away from required this level of degree of honesty and emotional availability that they were either not able to provide at the time, that they are now trying to rush back and provide, or they are utilizing that as the lesson in terms of the trauma that they are now seeing that is being experienced by the present feminine that they're trying to move towards right now. That is effectively forcing the masculine energy to move into this vibration of being in a state or space of openness and emotional honesty. Clarification for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership. This is a moment where the masculine energy is feeling that level and degree of being able to be in their open emotional expression. And that is what's allowing a reaffirmation of the commitment. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal and our Page of Wands in its reversal. So, some situations and circumstances. This is difficult right now. This is some challenging space, particularly for the masculine energy. We see here that there's some kind of anxiety coming into play right now around the masculine energy and their own ability to communicate that is requiring some sense of shift. Now, for the masculine and the feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is in union. This could potentially even be talking about right now, I need to stress this. This could be talking about bringing, I don't want to say it like that. This is potentially even talking about right now timing. I gotta stress right now, for some of the energy right now, that is in commitment, I'm just going to say this. This is the type of energy that we often potentially even see if you're in divine union or partnership right now, that may have a lot of conversations around children potentially at play and the timing on children. So if that's, I don't talk about pregnancy readings here, but I have to stress right now that this is something that could potentially be discussed, because there's such a movement right now into a deeper level of commitment and an urgency here, that this is something that may even come into play right now. If there's any conversations of children that have been shelved or on the table, this is something that may reemerge today. I'm just pointing that out. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership and not in union, what we're effectively seeing right now is the fact that there is something here, that there is a sense of urgency that's effectively coming into play. Masculine energy, we're actually seeing here for some of this collective, masculine energy, this is feeling like a bit of a maturation process that's happening. Masculine energy, again, we're seeing this fact that there's this pushback point that you're hitting with some of the feminine energy that may be feeling like you're being, as I said, forced to come into this level of maturation, potentially even questioning right now what is going to be effectively open and available to you if you continue to necessarily proceed in this way of not being able to make some point of adjustment at this time. This is why for a lot of the masculine energy right now, there could be a lot of deeper contemplation or transformation that is coming into play about what union looks like, or your own ability or degree to commit at this moment, because this could be feeling for some of the unattached masculine energy right now that something that you were doing in the way that you were doing it was no longer working, or is no longer working anymore. That's why, unfortunately, for a lot of this masculine energy, this is potentially feeling like you are feeling kind of forced to move into this state right now. I just gotta warn you. For the feminine energy right now, this is a moment that feminine energy is basically just shunning anything that feels like it's not coming from a space or place of authenticity. Feminine energy is being very clear right now in the fact that they want openness and emotional connection. And feminine energy is effectively recommitting and reaffirming on their own path if they're not seeing that right now. So this is basically requiring some level or degree of upgrade right now. But feminine is doing this to shed some energy that they feel isn't in alignment to them. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now is Temperance in its reversal. Get cracking. Time is moving. There is something coming through. I need to stress here the main watchwords for today are catharsis but urgency. Catharsis but urgency, which is very interesting. For the masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership right now, as I said, I just got to stress this. If you're in partnership or union right now, there may be some subjects around children that come into play today, and some kind of point of mutual recognition on these conversations that you can't wait forever to do something like this, that there is kind of a very specific timing on something around this right now, or some conversations about choices that need to be made around children that may need to come into play right now because of some kind of window of timing that needs to be taken seriously or truly considered right now. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, what we're really effectively seeing right now is this is like a real transformation energy that we're seeing, particularly around feminine and masculine at this time. Feminine energy, one of the reasons that the feminine is moving into this deeper sense of commitment right now, and why they're willing to move themselves away from their own passionate center, is feminine energy is not in a state or space where they want to build up any additional trauma. Feminine energy is effectively looking right now for commitments that fortify them, that come from a space of emotional openness and clarity and emotional connection. Feminine energy isn't allowing in any energy right now that's just coming from a passionate center. We saw that yesterday. Feminine energy's over it, is what we're seeing right now. Feminine energy does not feel like they have the time to divert their attention on things that are specifically only coming from a passionate center. As difficult as that is for the feminine right now, this is what is allowing them to shed some of the grief from the past, because feminine energy is looking at any situations or circumstances from the past upon which they have been waiting on. And if they have not come forward with that honesty, then feminine energy is looking at them like that and saying that that energy is one that is solely only driven by their libido, by their passion. It's not something feminine wants anymore, even though it may have felt lovely or fun at the time. It's not something that they want moving forward. As we said, that's not like I said, that nun energy coming into space with that page of the Ace of Wands and its transverse yesterday. This is feminine being like, it's not even the fact that feminine doesn't want it. Feminine doesn't have time for it. Feminine's committing on their own healing and their own stability at this time. That's all we're seeing right now in these cards. Masculine energy, this is you feeling the anxiety that you need to change up something that you're doing because it's no longer working. Masculine energy, again, you're recognizing if you've been trying to move forward from this passion center, you're just realizing that potentially you're maybe feeling a lot of doors are like kind of closing around you at this time. And this is that recognition point for the masculine that you may be feeling some level or degree of urgency at this time because you're recognizing that there's something here that you thought that may have kind of been able to go on perpetually that you're now recognizing cannot go on perpetually. And this is effectively now forcing you. It's forcing you into this awakening process of you coming from a space of openness and clarity and emotional opportunity instead, and it's feeling like a deep transformation, but it's also feeling like a bit of a profound one. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now. Like someone's being dragged into an awakening process, which is, I'm sorry, I don't want to laugh, but I need to laugh about it because it's very funny. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between the Wheel of Fortune and our Knight of Cups in its upright. What we're really seeing at this time is, again, this moment or this experience that is feeling, it's allowing for this state of progress. Guys, Mercury went direct yesterday. We're starting to move out of every single planet under the sun being in retrograde. So if you've been feeling a little jammed up, this is probably why. But again, we're seeing here that there's a lot of productivity potentially coming into play right now. This feeling right now of something grander, some grander design moving into focus today. For feminine and masculine energy that is in partnership, this is the feminine effectively feeling this level or degree of emotional support from the masculine that is also helping you. What we're really seeing that's important right now, it's not the fact for the masculine and feminine energy that's in partnership, that's in partnership right now. You guys went through some hurdles this week. We saw that clearly coming through. But what's important about this is the fact that even in the partnership, masculine energy has been coming forward to some way or degree. This is almost potentially feeling, like I said, almost like a bit of apology to feminine right now, trying to show this level or degree of emotional expression at this time that is allowing something to feel like it's moving on a grander scale. Masculine energy, this feeling right now that you're getting the support to help bear you through some very trying circumstances or situations from the feminine right now, is reaffirming your commitment to the path that you find yourself right now in partnership. Now, for the unpartnered energies, this is feeling a lot different because what did I say about the fact that it looks like someone's being dragged into emotional balance? This is what we're almost seeing to a certain degree. Masculine energy, this is feeling, as I said, if you're unpartnered right now, this could potentially be feeling like a bit of a forced upgrade because the circumstances at play around you right now are ones that you're feeling like you have no effective choice but to start to come forward from this space of openness, to come forward from this space of honesty. It's feeling very difficult for you because it's not necessarily something that you're walking towards, but something you're being kind of like dragged into in a certain extent because you're recognizing that some other way that you used to proceed is no longer working for you. For the feminine energy, this could be effectively recognizing this right now in the masculine. I just got to point that out. This could be a moment that you recognize that that is happening right now with some of the masculine energy that is approaching you at this time. You are seeing this happening. I have to point out, we noticed prior to this, the Venus in retrograde cycle, masculine energy, seeing the fact that feminine energy was triggered and traumatized. This is now feminine energy looking at the masculine energy and understanding and recognizing what has brought the masculine energy to their door in this capacity. And this is where we're also seeing some of that bittersweet energy in terms of the feminine energy taking their time right now. Because feminine energy doesn't necessarily want to be in a space or place where they feel like the masculine energy is dragged into being emotionally open to them. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, That's not a fun thought. That's not a fun thought. So a lot of the I need to stress here, a lot of the conversations that are effectively happening today, even in the unpartnered energy. And I need to stress this is going to be a bit of a frustrating thing, especially if these are old connections that are coming back into connection. This is a moment that is effectively for the feminine, even, oh God, geez, this is driving me nuts right now. Are you kidding me right now, feminine? Because what I'm seeing right now is oh my God, what I'm effectively seeing happening right now, and I just need to stress this for the feminines that are doing this right now, because if you're doing it, I'm calling you out on this right now, okay? We're seeing the fact that the feminine energy was rejecting a lot of the masculine energy because they were coming towards them from a state of just passion, okay? That was something clearly happening. The problem is now, and feminine, don't get too picky here. If masculine is now trying to approach you from a place of emotional availability, this is almost feminine potentially getting into a little bit of thread picking here and looking at the masculine and being like, well, why are you coming towards me now from a state of emotionality? Are you really aligned in terms of what you want in terms of the path ahead? This is that moment for the feminine that even now, this is why the feminine is taking so much time on this, because feminine energy is still at a point that they are so triggered and traumatized that the feminine energy is not just looking at the masculine energy, pursuing them from a place of passion and holding that back. Feminine energy is also looking towards a masculine energy that's coming from them from an emotional space and trying to make sure that they're both in line in terms of what that long-term path is. Like I said, the feminine energy looking at the masculine a little like a little askew and being like, are you coming towards me with this emotional opening because you want to, or because you feel like you have no choice? Because you want to, because you actually feel like this right now, or is it, or like, have you actually changed? Are we aligned in terms of what we want going forward? Or are you doing this because you also realize that, like, I'm not letting you in unless you're coming into the space of being emotionally available? Even the feminine energy right now that is experiencing the emotional availability is potentially still looking at it a little bit askew, which is why feminine energy is utilizing time to help them articulate between these points, to make sure there's an alignment in terms of that long-term path, making sure that there's that possibility for that shared long-term future. Masculine energy. This is feeling much more frustrating right now, because what we're really seeing is masculine energy is now moving towards feminine with a lot of this emotional center open up. That's that opening. That's that light bulb moment with the masculine, that aha. The problem right now is masculine's worried potentially about something being too late. That's why masculine is effectively moving forward right now. Masculine forward is almost rushing forward right now with an emotional offer, being like, oh dear God, take this emotional offer, because masculine energy, even while they're feeling like now is the time, they're feeling the anxiety that the time that masculine energy was looking to do this was like, right, this is like someone like sliding their bedding form in, like as the window is closing. It's giving like trying to like hit home, like trying to like strike into home, like as the ball is being thrown. This is the type of energy that we're seeing right now for some of the unattached masculine that is effectively happening at this time. Feminine is effectively seeing this to a certain degree, which is also what's causing some of these issues or problems right now. For masculine and feminine energy right now in partnership, this is more feeling right now, this level or degree of, again, not necessarily being in a moment that is completely perfect, recognizing that there are some points of adjustment that need to be happening in terms of some anxieties and doubts of the future, but holding on deeply to the importance and significance of what you are experiencing together, allowing fate to kind of take a hand right now and recognizing that you need to support each other emotionally as much as possible, even through some of the difficult setbacks and situations that you're currently experiencing. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Knight of Cups in combination with our Temperance card. I'm sorry, I am going to be laughing about this all day, maybe all week, because this is absurd. But it is what it is. What we're really seeing right now, again, for the unpartnered energies at this moment, for feminine energy right now, this is that moment that you're effectively like, and I think that this is what is so difficult right now for a lot of the feminines that are feeling this right now. It's not the fact that the masculine energy isn't coming towards you right now from an emotional center. It's the anxiety and fear and wondering, it feels a little late. It feels a little off time for the feminine. It's feeling like a moment right now where feminine, it's not the emotional offer that is coming from masculine energy. It's paying a lot of attention to the timing of it. For the feminine energy, this is now coming into play right now, because for the masculine, this is almost like the feminine energy getting some point of like insight or understanding around some circumstances or situations right now that feel a little like clarity receiving. For masculine right now, this is potentially a moment that you are feeling like you are running a little late to coming forward right now with some emotional offers, that there's something here that is also creating this state or space of urgency for you right now, and feeling some anxiety and degree in terms of what you want to offer the feminine right now, and feeling the anxiety that it might be too late, that you might have pushed this envelope a little too far, that you might have waited just a bit too long, that something that you were working through or expecting that time was, this is a moment for the masculine, where masculine, you may have thought that somehow utilizing time in this degree was going to work in your advantage. And what you're effectively recognizing right now is some anxiety and degree and saying, oh dear God, it did not. This did not work the way I thought it was. And now I feel like I'm running out of time in terms of what I can give forth emotionally right now. For feminine, this is a moment that, again, this may be feeling right now for a lot of the feminine energy. There could be emotional offers coming into play right now, but there potentially is this feeling right now of a little too late, maybe. Too little too late. Feminine energy is almost like at this point where they're kind of sussing out the energy to try to determine the timing on things in terms of what's coming towards them at this time. Masculine and feminine energy right now, this is masculine and feminine energy in partnership, the reaffirmation of the commitment that you find yourself in at this time. There's almost something for some of the feminine energy where they recognize that they don't need to wait for these emotional appeals from the masculine. The masculine energy that's in partnership with feminine right now is the type of energy that doesn't make them wait for an emotional offer and appeal. One of the things that the feminine could be appreciating right now in partnership is the fact that there's something about a masculine energy being open and forthright, not necessarily in terms of being perfect, but being able to be open when they are not, that is helping refortify the partnership at this moment, especially through some circumstances or situations that were difficult and trying leading up until this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. This is real tricky, isn't it? There's an abandonment wound that's being triggered here. There's an abandonment wound that's being triggered. And I have to say, it's a little bit of it's a little, I got to say for the feminine energy right now, I have to stress this is giving a lot of energy for feminine, which is like, if I wouldn't laugh, I would cry. Right? Because for the feminine energy right now, this is what we see that is causing some of the difficulty as it relates to the emotional offers that are coming towards you right now. It's not the sense or the fact that the masculine energy is coming towards you right now with an emotional offer. The problem with the feminine right now is effectively looking at the timing of those offers. It's looking at the timing of those offers and effectively potentially feeling or experiencing or seeing the fact that you feel like the masculine is coming forward from this perspective or from this place with the anxiety of the time that it has taken to do so. And it is triggering. This is what's so difficult about this for the feminine energy that is receiving some of these emotional offers right now. It is creating a state or space where you are questioning the intentions or the timing of something coming towards you. And that in itself is triggering the abandonment wound, because it is making you question whether this is coming from a space of authenticity or if this is coming from someone who feels the anxiety or degree of running out of time. This is creating a real hurdle right now for the feminine, which is why we see that for feminine right now, there is so much slowness and a need and degree of commitment and time being applied to things, because feminine energy is effectively saying, you made me wait to the masculine. I've been put in positions where I have to wait. Why is your emotionality something that cannot wait? For masculine energy right now, this is effectively feeling this. If you're not in partnership at this moment, this is potentially feeling the abandonment wound being triggered, potentially because you are fearing that you waited too long to come forward with an emotional offer. This is either towards situations and circumstances from the past that you now are ready to move towards in that degree. But you are now feeling the anxiety that it will necessarily potentially not be accepted or received right now because of the timing or how long it's taken. You're now realizing that that time did not work in your benefit. It acted in your detriment. What you expected to happen in the time in between did not occur. And now you are effectively potentially rushing towards things, trying to come into a state of easement, but now potentially fearing or feeling like it may be too late. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, today is feeling like, again, a moment that could be feeling very triggering and difficult. You are going through mutually triggering experiences, but you are unpacking those abandonment wounds together right now. You are feeling an urgency in doing so. And for masculine, this is almost reaffirming the commitment because it is showing to you some level or degree that you can be in this space of openness. You can be in this space of emotional vulnerability. But it is one that is making you also confront your own anxieties and doubts and fears. For feminine, this is also a space or place today where you may be unpacking your own doubts and fears in partnership. But you're feeling the safety in doing so. You're recognizing right now that you almost have immediate support in the process. Continuing to get clarity on these two cards right now. And this is what I say when I mean that today is going to feel like a day of catharsis, because while we see a lot of productive energy right now in terms of understanding and coming into deeper truths, there is a lot of energy around this right now, specifically around the anxieties as they're related to the future, triggering abandonment wounds. I want to stress to everyone today, make sure that you're not moving from a state of fear. Make sure that you're really moving from a state of intentions, because what I'm really seeing here potentially with this anxiety of our 10 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 5 of Pentacles, we are looking at some situations or circumstances that are causing some sense of anxiety, some fears of the future that are triggering abandonment wounds, both in and out of partnership right now. Be very careful not to be triggered, because these are deep fears rising to the surface right now. Anxieties about what that future looks like that are feeling like they're being triggered today. For partnership energy, this could potentially be addressing these to try to fortify them. Masculine may need to provide a lot of emotional support to the feminine at this time throughout this process. For feminine, this is experiencing a lot of this potentially internally in partnership with some of that emotional support from masculine without. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is real triggering. This is really difficult because it's not necessarily for feminine and masculine right now. There are a lot of fears that are rising to the surface. Feminine energy is confronting these internally right now. Regardless of what masculine is bringing towards them right now, feminine energy is already feeling some sense of bittersweetness as it relates to the path ahead. Even with the masculine energy right now that is trying to come towards them with an emotional offer. If this is emotional offer from the past, feminine energy is already feeling the bittersweetness of the fact that it's coming now and it didn't come then. For feminine energy that is currently experiencing it now, there's some doubts and fears about alignment, wondering if the masculine is authentic from their emotional center right now. In both cases, the feminine's abandonment wounds are coming into play. For masculine, this is that feeling of potentially coming through right now and feeling like you waited too long on something. This is potentially feeling right now, masculines, that there's something that you want to come forward from or towards right now from an emotional space. And you are potentially feeling the deep, deep, deep anxiety that this took too long, that you waited too long. And it is now triggering your own abandonment wound in the process as you determine what to do in that scenario. May I please have the final card in our spread for today? King of Swords, standing in your integrity. Masculine and feminine energy, we love this right now. Specifically in partnership, out of partnership, though out of partnership, it feels a lot different. For feminine and masculine energy right now that is in partnership, I need to stress right now that something about the situation or circumstances that you find yourself in at this moment, even though they are difficult, they are fortifying you. You're finding you're getting that support right now. You're getting that clarity. You're getting that ability around you right now to help you bear the weight of some of the things that you're carrying. And that is helping to create further strength for you to be able to stand in your integrity at this time. It is empowering you even as you go through this moment of having to face the abandonment wound, hence fortifying the partnership. Feminine energy, you are feeling safe right now to also experience some of these anxieties and fears in divine partnership, because you have a masculine energy that is showing you some way, shape, or form that they are not going to abandon you. Even if things get difficult, even if things get hard, this is a masculine energy that is standing firm and saying that they are not going to leave you in your time of need. And this is what is also reaffirming the commitments, the divine partnerships. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership, this is so much different. Because for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is that moment that for feminine, there is this anxiety and fear coming into place about the future. Feminine energy is doing this work right now. They're identifying the abandonment wound. But again, feminine energy is potentially even rejecting right now, even emotional offers if they feel like they're coming in too late right now. Or they're waiting on the emotional offer. They're waiting on the emotional offer and they're waiting on a passionate offer right now. I got to stress this. Feminine energy is being choosy. They're being extremely choosy because they're so worried about allowing in more trauma right now, and they're trying to release trauma. That feminine energy is basically coming to the conclusion right now with the revelation that's coming to them right now, that they are seeking one thing and one thing only from masculine right now, which is integrity, which is openness, which is forthrightness. Feminine energy is looking beyond anything at a masculine energy that has the capacity in being open and forthright, even beyond the passion, even beyond the emotions. It is the integrity that feminine energy is seeking. And this is what's allowing the feminine energy to effectively push off anything they don't feel is in alignment to them, even as they're facing their abandonment wound. For old energy that's coming back towards feminine right now, you better be able to be open and honest, because this is feminine energy that is effectively not allowing anything but that integrity in right now. For masculine energy right now, this is feeling so difficult because this is the upgrade. This is that forced upgrade energy that we are seeing right now, and this is the difficulty around it. It is coming through right now, potentially masculine, around circumstances and situations that you're trying to come forward right now from an emotional place that may have been some place where you didn't come forward, or you're trying to move into new partnerships and you're recognizing that the feminine energy around you is not in a space or place where they're willing to take you for spaces and places in terms of emotional communication at this time. They're not willing to let you in if you are coming from a space of just passion. The only way you can come in right now is from integrity. And that's feeling very difficult for the masculine right now, because we see here that this level and degree of integrity is effectively challenging your own ability. It's challenging your own abandonment wound. For some of the masculine energy right now, there's a feeling or anxiety of recognizing or feeling that you're worried that even coming from this state of integrity may not fix something at this point, but you're recognizing that there is a pathway through if you do. For the masculine energy that's moving into new partnership at this time, this is a part of that upgrade. This is recognizing and identifying that as you go forward from this point, you are now rising up right now into coming into this integrity, because you are realizing right now that there's really no other possibility of coming into partnership right now unless you do. Bottom of the deck for today's reading is Eight of Pentacles in its reversal. Sometimes we need to identify what doesn't work before we figure out what does. For feminine energy right now, there is this feeling that may be coming through potentially in separation right now. Again, This is feminine energy that is focusing so solely on their own work, on what they are working on right now, that again, it's almost coming through right now and feeling like the feminine energy doesn't have time to entertain anything else that isn't in this same space or place of integrity. This is potentially even feeling right now, feminine, that your daily obligations are effectively blocking you from being able to be in a space or place of being able to come into a state of enjoyment. This is that heavy reliance that we saw coming through yesterday of feminine really focusing on their own stability at this time and the anxieties therein. With because feminine energy is really operating from a state that's saying like, I'll do it alone if I have to. Masculine energy right now, you are feeling the anxiety right now of recognizing that something that used to work doesn't work anymore. There's something here that you are recognizing. You're feeling the anxiety because you're being forced to transform right now in some ways heavily. But you're also worried because like you've never done this before. If you're transforming in this manner, you don't know if this is going to work either. You're just trying to find that path forward that's going to allow for some productivity because something about this right now is not working anymore. For masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this time, this is that moment or that situation that we are identifying, that you are identifying what doesn't work so that you can find what does. And again, there's some stumbling blocks here because for both energies, there are some things that are not potentially working right now that need adjustment. There's transformation on the table, even for the partnered energies. And there may be some degree right now of having to look at some of the ideas or plans that you have in play to really identify how you can get them to work better. Again, I have to stress, I do see some talk right now on the table right now of children coming into play today around some of these energies. So this could even be a conversation if this is what's happening right now in terms of the level of commitment about whether there's something that is practically possible in that. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video with the option of a recording sent to you afterwards. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind that when you book a reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I will never inbox you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me and sharing in today's messages. And we will do this again tomorrow. Guys, we are open